we are here at Business Today's emerging companies profiling IL&FS education and technology services. Talking to us is the Managing Director, Mr. RCM Reddy. Mr. Reddy, thank you so much for taking the time out and showing us the wonderful facility over here. It's been a great experience for us. To begin with, just wanted to understand what was the main idea behind launching this, and what are your flagship programs over here?
Thank you very much, Sarika. And as you know, IL&FS group is very diversified, probably the only one which is very integrated financial service and infrastructure services company in India. We are into hardcore infrastructure like power, water, transport, environment, and several other sectors, maritime, etc. We're also into financial services, investment bank, and we run private equity funds and several other stuff. While doing this journey of developing commercially sustainable solutions for infrastructure, we realized that social infrastructure is also one of the key areas that require public-private partnerships. Because our sole motto is about working on public-private partnerships and making them work at a scale. So when we looked at social infrastructure and what are the kind of big challenges, how do we actually work and create models that are scalable, replicable, addressing social infrastructure?
Given that you're catering to a market which is completely, devised towards the bottom of the pyramid, so what have been your experiences and your learnings on the ground?
One of the biggest challenges, Sarika, that we face is in terms of aspirations. So on one hand, there is a huge shortage of trained manpower. You go to any industry, ask them what is one of your biggest challenges, they would say lack of skilled manpower. They don't get. Households complain lack of drivers. Companies complain lack of operators. But when you go to the community, we have large number of youth without jobs. And connecting them is the biggest challenge. If you look at we are talking about our demographic dividend, but what are the characteristics of our demographic dividend? And significant number of our youth is below poverty line. Majority of them live in rural areas, and large number of them, almost 2/3, drop out by the time they reach 10th. This is the characteristic. If you look at geographical spread, and many of them are located in Indo-Gangetic plain. You look at UP, Bihar, Bengal, and then of course other states like Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, This is the place where you have significant number of our demographic dividend. But where are the jobs? Jobs are on the west coast, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, and southern India. This disconnect between the people availability and jobs availability is the biggest challenge. Obviously, it means migration. When migrate, there is a level of expectation in terms of salary, in terms of place, in terms of working conditions. So this is one challenge. So challenge one is the disconnect between the availability of jobs and availability of people. Where the people are available, jobs are not there. Where the jobs are available, people are not there. And connecting this is one of the biggest challenges for a vocational skills program. The second biggest challenge that we have here is in terms of aspirations. With the increasing rise in media awareness, the social media, the consumer boom, and everybody would expect a salary level of 20,000, not less than 20,000, and bit of white collar job. But whereas the salary level in the industry is not up to that mark. In entry level, the minimum wages in NCR region at entry level operator roughly say 8,000 rupees. But the expectation from the youth would be unless 20,000 is provided, he is not prepared to pick up a job. So this is again mismatch between the expectations of the youth and aspirations of the youth and industry conditions. This is the second challenge. The third challenge, I believe, the industry, the employer industry needs to invest much more than what they are currently doing in terms of skilling the people. And any case, they would end up spending significant amount of their resources in training. If there are issues related to quality, there is a cost to that quality. So therefore, it's necessary, it's a business imperative that they invest more and more in skills. And that lack of it and has been a constant, but I'm glad to see that more and more companies realize this. They invest in skills either in terms of supporting skills programs or in terms of their own in-house training programs being done and all that stuff. These are the three major challenges. Of course, fourth, as you know, the vocational skills today largely funded by the government programs. In our case, roughly about say 60% is funded by the government programs. And one of the challenges is that the absence of a clear framework which is long term, which is deterministic, and which is simple to understand. That framework is still evolving. And once the framework evolves, that challenge would also be addressed. I think essentially there are three dimensions to the challenge. One is the people related, second is the employer related, third is the sponsor related. And the best part of the story is that the sponsor related, and the sponsor means the government related programs, the schemes, with the advent of new skills ministry, there is a lot more emphasis, and the ministry under the leadership of Sri Rudy has been taking a lot of initiatives in bringing about some semblance of the kind of framework being available there is being done. And industries also more and more they are willing to support. We have two objectives here, and two objectives are, we want to create sustainable commercially and development wise sustainable scalable social enterprise at a scale. And given that objective, and two dimensions of our plan is that one is to consolidate. We have been doing a lot of work on vocational skills, education solutions. We will consolidate in terms of deepening the engagement in the sectors which we are operating. And the second dimension of our plan is that the geographical reach, expand. And in terms of expansion, and we will be going global, and we strongly believe the infrastructure for employment, the service portfolio that we have for education, employability and employment, these services are eminently relevant to other developing countries. So we have about our footprints in 14 African countries and 2 Middle East and 1 in East Asia, 2 in East Asia. So we are about 18 countries we are present today through our clusters, through our skills, through our education. We will be consolidating, we will be scaling up, we will be going global in terms of expanding this. And what we are operating currently in India, as I said, apart from consolidation in the verticals that we are operating, we'll also be looking at setting up of more and more centers of excellence. So if I have to put some numbers to our growth plans, in terms of skills, and our vision is right now we train roughly about 200,000 people annually, and we would like to reach a capacity of 500,000 people annually within the next 4 years. And eventually do about 40 lakh by 2022, 40 lakh people to be trained, and in whether for jobs or upskilling, working in schools and colleges where we go and train the school students and college students, roughly about 40 lakh people would be done. And in terms of education, we are currently present in 30,000 schools currently we are present in, and this 30,000 schools will be scaled up to about 50,000 schools going forward. And in clusters, as a roughly we are about 100 clusters that we have, and today we facilitated, and we expect another 10 years we will add 100 more clusters to this. On the health, and we will be working very, very closely on creating centers of excellences on health skills. We are growing roughly about 20% on average, and our EBITDA margins are very, very healthy, about 20%. And probably we are the only enterprise today in the country of this size and scale, roughly with about 600 crore revenue, with about 25% of EBITDA margins, and working in the sectors of education and skills and clusters and health, and with such geographical reach.